about 15,000 lines of code. And
it's actually not so simple.
Well, relatively simple.
Okay.
And we only have to make a handful of changes to get simple text to come up and run. As you can see, we've got the menus. And let's go ahead and bring up a simple text document. Okay, so we see a bunch of text.
So how much did we have to change simple text to get this to run?
Not much.
Basically only compile.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and select some text. We can change the fonts.
This is using TextEdit, TrueType fonts, the full macOS text system.
And since it's TrueType, when we scale the fonts up, they still look great. Let's go ahead and change the style. Still looks great.
So basically all just works.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so the next thing that we got running was something a little bit more complicated, Movie Player. Now, Movie Player is somewhat of a simple app, but it calls into massive libraries all the QuickTime stuff.
Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to play a QuickTime movie. Do we have any audio?
Can we get the audio turned on? There we go.
Okay. Okay.
So this is showing all the QuickTime libraries running right on the bare OS, taking full advantage of all the new features in there.
Right, and important thing to note here is that we're running on a preemptive multitasking system, okay, and if you're familiar with multimedia, that can be kind of tricky at times to get that to work. And as we even just drag the movie around, the movie keeps playing, okay.
Okay, so now this is interesting, so why don't we show what happens when we run a nasty app?
Right, so we're going to launch a badly behaved application. And the point is that since we're running in a protected memory space, this application, if it does something nasty, as we said. There we go. Here.
That's pretty nasty.
So let's look at the code for a second.
Developers, you can understand this, right?
So for those of you not in the know, starting to write at low mem address 0 and just trashing it is probably a bad idea. So if I were running this on Mac OS 8, when I press this button, I'd be rebooting just about now. Okay.
Right, so we should probably read that panel.
Okay, so the alert comes up, says this application, trash low mem, has unexpectedly quit. So you do not have to restart your computer.
Okay.
And your movie keeps playing in the background.
Still playing, right. So there's another kind of nasty app, which we're going to bring up right now. So tell us what this is doing, Jim.
Okay, well, this is an application that is just drawing, not yielding any time to any other processes. Okay, so if you're running this on Mac OS 8,
not waiting for any events.
Not calling wait next event.
This would just lock up on Mac OS 8 system. In fact, you couldn't drag the windows. The movie would stop.
All that would be happening on a Mac OS 8 system right now is the spinning colors, and but still the movie keeps on playing. Okay, so the only way to kill this app...
In fact, we can't kill it other than by bringing up this panel.
That's right. So we can kill it through the process manager, and we quit the app, force quit, and it's gone.
Okay.
And through all of that, the QuickTime movie has kept on playing.
Right. So we were ecstatic to see all of this stuff work. But then we kind of said, well, gee, if that's all we show, those look like toy apps. So we said, let's go get a real app and let's try and port it and see what happens. And we were lucky enough to have the source code for one, which was ClarisWorks, which is now AppleWorks. So just, 2-3 weeks ago, we started porting AppleWorks.
Yep, and here we are launching it. Still says ClarisWorks. Okay, it's about 350,000 lines of code. We only had to change maybe a fraction of a percent of the code to get this up and running under Carbon. And so the first thing we should do is we should go ahead and look at existing ClarisWorks document. Okay, and so what you'll see is there's some text up here. Here's a graphic, and then here's also a live spreadsheet. And so look at the red bar all the way on the left. Okay, so I'm going to just show you that it really is a wired spreadsheet, and the red bar drops all the way down. Okay.
And again, how much do we have to change?
Fraction of a percent. So not much, especially when you consider 350,000 lines of code. Most of the time, it just took us a couple of days to bring it up and running. And currently, it was maybe half those changes actually were just to work around the current prototyping environment.
Right.
So actually, there's even less work for you, the app developer. So let's go ahead and create a new drawing document. Okay, just to show you. some drawing features. Now the thing is, this is still quick draw imaging based, so all your drawing that you do today still works. So we'll show that by drawing some rectangles. We can pop down, change the color. Okay, let's draw another familiar type, the arc. Set the pattern. Okay, next we're going to use a ClarisWorks custom object, which is just a polygon. Okay. The other thing we'll show is a Claris custom feature. Oops, didn't mean to bring that up quite yet. Is the gradient. Okay. So this is custom for the application, and of course we can bring up the gradient editor, and we can change the gradient. So the point here is this is a highly customized dialog. Okay. You, the application developer, spent a lot of time and you've invested a lot of your efforts into making the application the way you want it, okay? And none of that investment is lost by coming over to Mac OS X.
So it's no changes in the app itself.
That's right.
It just works. So we've done all the work in our code to make it all just continue to work.
That's right. And you get all the advantages of preemptive multitasking, protected memory, and all the faster I/O networking.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I guess thanks, Jim. This is probably the one time where a crash would have been okay, because it would have just demoed the rest of the system, but we didn't get one. Too bad. Okay. So we talked about how we've gone from these 8,000 APIs down to these 6,000 APIs. This is sort of our first pass at what we think the Carbon API set should be. But what we understand, what we realize, is that we can't just make this decision in isolation. So very recently, we just started talking with some of our biggest developers to get their thoughts on what we're doing from an overall strategy perspective and get them to start thinking about, are we picking the right APIs? So what I'd like to do now is introduce a couple of folks who are going to come up and tell